Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. I am the child of two Holocaust survivors. And in addition, I grew up getting to know perhaps 2 dozen other survivors because I lived at home through my college years. That enabled me to get to observe them not just when I was a kid, but as a young adult. Some of those survivors managed to triumph over the years of the Holocaust tortures, the loss of their family, being dumped in the Bronx without a penny to their name, no English, no education, no friends. Unfortunately, other survivors remained mired in sadness and suspicion of other people. No doubt their individual character and their early upbringing had an effect, but it also seemed clear to me that the survivors had spent a lot of time looking back, talking about the Holocaust, attending Holocaust remembrances, joining survivor discussion groups, and, quote, processing their Holocaust experiences in therapy were on average sadder. The survivors, including both of my parents, that were able to move on and live full work lives, social lives, and have good relationships with their kids and friends, spent little time looking back. Yeah, they believed that it was important to, as they used to say, never forget. But they spent little time on that, but rather they focused on moving forward. In my dad's case, that was working in a factory in Harlem and saving up little by little so he could afford to move my mom, my sister, and me from the Bronx tenement next to that elevated train that was roaring 24/7, moving us to an apartment in blue collar Flushing, Queens, where I spent most of my childhood. In his limited spare time, he was an avid gardener and a cartoonist. And my mom focused on being a good homemaker, cooking, cleaning, throwing parties. She threw good parties and on looking good. Her clothing, her jewelry, hair, makeup were always perfect. I sensed that both of them lived the life that they wanted to live, not unduly burdened by their horrific Holocaust years. Of course, these are mere impressionistic reactions. Other than my parents, I really don't know what those other Holocaust survivors were like behind closed doors. But I can, with more confidence, say that based on my work with 5,500 career and personal coaching clients, the more time that I've allowed, let alone encouraged my clients to revisit their past iniquities, what their parents did to them, siblings, spouse, society, or boss did to them, the less likely they've been to move forward and the more likely they are to remain sad, a victim, externalizing responsibility for their current bad work and personal life. So, in my initial session with my career and personal coaching clients, I usually do start by inviting them to take a few minutes to tell me about their life's most influential experiences, during which I try to show full empathy. But after that, I usually move to helping the client develop a plan for moving forward. If a client then, or later in a later session, brings up some past ill treatment or personal failure, I usually try to quickly move the discussion back forward. For example, I might say, of course, I understand how painful that must have been. Is there a lesson to be learned that can help you in moving forward? Or I might say, um, if my parents had beaten me nightly, or even if I'd been an axe murderer, I believe I'd find the path to greater success and happiness would be in identifying my next steps forward. What do you think? And nearly always the client agrees, and if not, I listen empathically to their re-explanation of their earlier on source of malaise. But I try to move things forward as soon as possible. I don't have the hubris to assert that every person and every helping professional should discourage extensive processing of past ill treatment. I can say only that, especially for people who have already done a fair amount of that retrospective reflection, I would be wary of more processing. Cliche though it may be, at least in my practice and in my own life, I've found that my life is, and my clients' lives, are most likely to improve not by looking back, but by identifying the next, baby steps forward. Thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.